Hello, I'm ProfPixel. Welcome back to Madmen with the Box. Joining me today is Joe Coralla.
Hello.
Say hello. Am I frozen?
You're fine. You're here.
Okay. I don't give me a heart attack today. Don't do it. Don't do it. Down there's Jermaine.
Yes, there is. How's everybody doing tonight?
Today we're going to be discussing we're going to be discussing The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Jodie's first episode, because it's a special occasion. But before that, we do have some news to cover. But we're not going to get to the meatiest part of it yet. We're going to start with something nice and light, which Doctor Who's coming to Comic-Con within a week. That's nice. I wish I could be there.
Nice.
The strangest thing that's going to come out of this, though, is apparently there is the Intergalactic Friendship Day.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Next Doctor Who. That's a choice.
I wonder if they're both just coming together to bash on Star Wars.
Apparently, that's pretty easy to do within the last.
No, I know. I'm teasing. I wouldn't want that, but it's just funny.
Especially now that who is pretty much on the Disney territory now. But still, you have to watch it.
We actually do have a piece of news to talk about that.
But they need to do a live action crossover. I know I'm hoping against hope here, but man, there's no reason not to.
Well, I mean, within this last season, Shooty did say we have to visit them someday, which I would prefer a crossover that has to do with them filming a Star Trek episode. So you have somebody playing the actors playing the characters, rather than the characters meeting the Doctor. That works better for me.
Part of what would be great about that is they could cast people that barely look like the actors to play the actors from Star Trek too.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
They love doing that with the Beatles, and now this. That'd be great.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk about It's Me's comment. But yeah, no, this is gonna be fine. Hopefully Landry buys me some good merch. I'll pay him.
That'd be nice of him. It's the least he could do for you.
I'm gonna pay him for it. But he's just gonna get it, so that way I get it in advance compared to the internet.
There you go.
So, following that, we actually do have to talk about. Apparently, there was a leak of Disney's information, and Doctor Who is considered a low-budget series for them because it's not just them funding Doctor Who. So, I guess the Disney money, as it were, isn't actually that much. To Disney, at least. It's probably a lot to us.
Now, what do they mean by a low-budget series?
That's exactly what I'm wondering too. This is a bunch of half information because Disney was hacked, data stolen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if they consider it a low-budget series, I mean, I guess it's just up to them to pick up. Look who it is. Look who it is.
I'm back, baby. Yes, it's back. Just like the Daleks, just like the Cybermen, just like the Master. You can never kill me. I am invincible.
I didn't try to kill you. If you've watched the past few weeks, you know that I didn't try to kill you.
It's the great
Yes,
Austin
you have.
Konnichiwa, Chris.
There you go.
Well, more like g'day because I'm back in Australia.
Yeah, well, you know.
And I have to go to work tomorrow. Yuck.
Me too.
But I'm back. Would you like to hear my thoughts on the finale?
Oh, God.
It's pretty easy. What a load of ass.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Russell is not cooking. That finale is honestly his weakest finale ever. And all the problems that he has with every finale he's done it worse with this. Sutek wasted.
Yeah. Why
he was so interested in Ruby's mum.
Yep.
Whatever.
Whatever. The whole reveal that she's just a normal person, which would be fine if literally the entire universe wasn't treating her as the most important person in existence. Literally, time and two gods are like, who is this woman? We need to figure this out. And it turned out to be just a random woman. And no Russell. There was no fucking sign that said Ruby Road behind her, behind the doctor. She was not pointing at that. Also, it doesn't explain why the doctor mentions, hey, she's now pointing at me. It's changed. That's not what happened before. Also, pretty dumb that just like, I'm going to leave my baby here. Oh, look, there's a person here. I'll point at the sign. They'll definitely know that's what I want to name the baby.
Yeah, she's not pointing to anyone in particular.
No.
Because the doctor wasn't... Well, I mean, the doctor did say the scene changed later on. Like, he flashed back to it, and then she turned and pointed. She didn't do that before.
Yeah. And also... killing Sutek by giving him walkies. That's like, again, like Russell will put himself in this scenario where it's just like, okay, I have to do the biggest like kind of Deus Ex move in order to resolve the plot. No, series 1, Rose becomes the bad wolf and literally just disintegrates all the Daleks. Season 2, they're all covered in void stuff, so the void sucks all the Daleks and Cybermen up. Series 3, I destroy the paradox machine and it reverses time. So that whole year of terrible stuff never happened. Series 4, conveniently, this one control in Davros's room is able to mess with the Daleks. What if I just drag Sutek and him clawing at the side of the time vortex reverses all death that he's done? Okay, sure, Russell, sure. And I feel like now the emotional stuff with Ruby leaving, that is what Russell is good at. The problem is there has been no build up to it.
Yep.
There's been nothing of a development between those characters, and also this Doctor being a bit more open with his emotions and how he acts and how he treats others. I can't remember. I saw someone else's review, so I wish I could cite them on it. But they brought up a good point. This Doctor would absolutely say, "I love you" in a platonic way, as a friend, like back to Ruby, not just say nothing. He would absolutely say, "I love you too, Ruby." But yeah, the whole like sad farewell. It's not sad because it wasn't built up well. We know she's coming back, so it's like, okay. I don't really feel anything. Oh yeah, and the whole it's so weird that Ruby's like, I found my real mum. It's like it's Space Babies. You made the whole big like thing of like, no, I know where my mum is. Carla, the woman who raised you. What a big fucking middle finger to her. It's okay. I have my real mum now. What a terrible finale.
Yep.
Really bad finale.
I've talked to this with Jess in Discord. Like, I'm really worried for season 2. The only thing that it has a big of a difference here compared to the season 1 is that Russell is not doing as much episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No.
So again, I think I gave Legend of Ruby Sunday, I think a 5 or a 6. I'm giving this a 4.
You still gave it the highest rating out of everybody here.
Yep.
4 is still a failure, though. So it's
4 is still below average.
Yeah.
I know.
Compared to Russell's finales, it's a 1.
There you go.
Well, it basically was a retread of the series 3 finale with the Master. The same shit with the like, oh, now everyone's dead, and what are we gonna do? And magic, it's fine. Like they
It's
just
fine.
did it again.
They just did it again.
The second, and we talked about this on the stream, but the second they killed, Kate Stewart, it was like, oh, reset. They're going to reset this whole thing. There's no way they killed her. So
yeah,
we all know she's not dead. So you just
they're all coming
started,
back.
Yeah, and you started that way. So it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
If Legend had ended with that, you might have had a fighting chance. But to start that episode off like that, it's like, bro, come on, nobody was buying that at all.
Also, I don't like that because it has to be for the plot. Sutekh has been on the TARDIS since Pyramids of Mars. I feel like it should have been since Wild Blue Yonder, because that's when the TARDIS started to act weirder than usual, not counting Flux.
Yeah.
No, the whole like not dematerializing properly was around Wild Blue Yonder, so
yeah.
And it's a time vortex. Time works differently. It could have just been from Sutekh's perspective. He had just been thrown in, but they also have to kind of do the whole thing of like, how is he a god now? Because he's actually a siren.
Yeah.
No, he's been in the time vortex for so long. He's now a god.
Well, I mean, that part I don't have as much problem with, because the only good thing to come out of this finale is that it made me realize how great Pyramids of Mars is, because Sutekh himself was pretty much.
Oh yeah, I have no problems with Gabriel Wolf coming back. He's great. He's fantastic. But like, yeah, how they used him in this finale, it's like, what was even the point? And again, Russell, if you're trying to push this as a new season, you are relying on stuff from like what, 40 years ago?
Time ago. Yeah.
You're like, oh, Susan, everything that was in the 60th anniversary. Granted, that's recent, so I can kind of give it here or there. And now, like, Sutekh being the big one. It's like, oh, don't worry, we'll just watch the Tales of the TARDIS. Sorry, I don't live in the UK.
No, neither do I.
I'd have to use a VPN or just find a copy of Pyramids of Mars and just watch it that way.
Yep.
It's a really good story. Jess Puck wishes it was just the daughter of Susan, something like that.
Even then, I wouldn't have liked that either.
It wouldn't have been done well either way, because that
wouldn't have been done well. Now, do you think Susan will actually show up? Because they made a big point in both Devil's Court and then Legend of Ruby Sunday of like hammering it in. The Doctor has a granddaughter, and he hasn't seen her for a while.
The only thing that would make sense is to have her show up in the Christmas special, right? Like, if she's going to show up, it should be then. Or why else are you doing this?
Yeah. Or is this just something else for season 3?
But that's like stupid.
Yeah. Oh, this is Russell.
But like, at least like if she showed up in like the Christmas, that's a nice way to kind of do something that's like schmaltzy, but it's like Christmassy, and like I think people would be into that. But like, if this is just going to be like the next season is going to be the quest for Susan or something, it's like, fuck it, what are we doing? Like,
so it's Bia saying, I feel bad for the writers' Doctor Who. Yeah, you do have a fair point. Whoever is the current showrunner is the worst showrunner. That does happen quite a bit. I know, because I was the only Moffat fan for a little bit.
I assure you, no one on Earth is going to talk about how they wish Chibnall was back. That's not happening. We have stressed, I think, every time we've talked about an episode from this season, like, don't worry, it's still better than Chibnall. So
nobody wants
you
that.
know.
Yeah, no.
That's the only thing I'd get. This episode was better than Battle of whatever it was called. Battle of Raz. Blanking out, fell asleep.
We're like 2 seasons away from them having an episode that's just called the Battle of whatever it was. So hold on.
I'd give it a 10. I'd give that episode a 10 out of 10 right away if they had the balls to just call that episode that. The Battle of whatever it was.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I have seen things that was saying that Russell basically planned season 1 and 2 out right away, and
he wanted it to be connected. So the whole story of Ruby still technically continues in season 2, which I feel like maybe no, because a lot of people weren't satisfied with how you did it in season 1. So how you're going to continue that?
Yeah, but that's already written and filmed. So
yeah, and given that you're already introducing a new companion as well, and since you can't, with these 8 episodes, you can't find a way to properly develop the Doctor and Ruby as a team together. Throwing a third person into the mix, I don't trust it. I don't think it's going to work.
I'm not sure about that.
And it's not even just like episode count. Yeah, sure, episode count can help, but it's more what you can do with that limit. And what we've seen is that Russell can't really do it.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's what he's doing. Guess what? That's what season 1 felt like. It felt like one big long, just here's the new status quo, but nothing happens. That's literally what the last.
Let me try new things, but like not actually do something good with them.
It doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you with any anticipation of what I should expect or want to expect or hope for in the following season. So it doesn't even do that well. If that's what the plan was, I mean, the Tenant, the Tenant Tate stuff did a better job than this. I mean, that was the quote unquote reset. Like, we're wiping away the pain and the tears of the last years, and now we're back on track, baby. And now we're all footed with 15, and let's start doing this right. And that's not what happened. That is not what happened at all.
And I agree with Jessbuck. So Russell still has potential. It's just that he's trying to connect to his greatest hits first.
That already.
But
I don't think he should do that. Then he's just reminding us, hey, Russell, we know you could do better.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because you did it before.
No, I mean, I would have, there were just so many mistakes that it was kind of crazy. Again, why market it that it's series 1, that this is a fresh start for people when it's impenetrable? You watch Rose, and part of it is he's done it before. So of course we were going to, people would believe that, yeah, he did Rose before this. He completely reintroduced it to a new generation, and it was easy to consume that way. And, to make a show that's just as impenetrable as it's been and try to bill it as series 1, it was weird. It was weird to do it that way. You don't do this. You don't do this and bring Sutek back and make it a big deal. You don't randomly bring back a character like Mel and just act like everyone's supposed to know who she is. I love that she was back. It was one of my favorite things, I think, probably from, the series overall, is seeing people like Mel come back and that. But that's not what you do when you're trying to reintroduce this concept to a new generation. It's just not. And I think the reactions to it across the board have reflected that.
Yeah.
If you needed a big bad, it should have been the boss. Rogue went ahead and hinted at the boss again. Might as well keep pushing that thread rather than.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Rose, Yasmin Finney did absolutely nothing in this finale.
Yeah.
Why was Rose there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was weird.
Yeah, but I feel like if Russell was playing to his greatest hits, he should have just did what he did for Series 1 and 2 for his first era. Series 1, you had, aside from the Daleks, you had I would say, very minimal like connections to the classic era. They'd be like, oh, here's a Cyberman head, and that's just like a reference. Long-time viewers will know what that is. But then Dalek is the main one, and even then they still do a great job of showing like that this is a threat that the Doctor very much hates. And it's very personal. Why? And it wasn't until Series 2 you bring Sarah Jane Smith back. You're really hammering in the connections to the classic era. I'm just hoping with these spin-offs, it'd be good to have, like, I know the whole thing is like, yeah, Martha might be coming back for the spin-off. I just hope, I don't want this to be the status quo. I don't want all of them to be connected to UNIT.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be this big universe, the Who-niverse. This whole big thing. Anything could happen, anything could be in there, but everyone has to be in UNIT.
Well, I think Russell's just making up for the fact that he made Torchwood.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I kind of did the discredit to UNIT. Let me go back on that and just make.
But still, like, even back then during his era, he had Doctor Who, and then he had 2 different spin-offs that catered to different audiences. And, whether you like them or not, they kind of work to those audiences. Torchwood was the more mature for the adult side of the fan base. And then you had Sarah Jane Adventures, which was more catered to the younger side.
Yep, Sarah Jane worked for my kids. Yep.
Yeah. Sarah Jane is a good series. Torchwood is kind of like here or there, depending.
Yeah, it gets dicey, but yeah.
It's just like, oh, here's this really good, like, out in the countryside. There's no real aliens. People are the monsters. And like a few episodes prior, sex gas. I do agree with Jess. Series 3 of Torchwood, Children of Earth, is really good.
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah,
that's taken it to like the darker, more adult side of like the Who-niverse, done really well. But yeah, I don't want UNIT to be this big whole like Avengers thing. Everyone's in UNIT. That's how we bring all of them back. Chameleon is back, and he works for UNIT.
So actually, though, if they brought back Chameleon and he worked this time,
he's actually the Vlinks in disguise.
Oh, he's the big bad. He's the boss.
What if they bring back Chameleon, but he's really the Ranny?
No. Yeah, spin-offs. Yeah, that's just my one thing. I don't want them all to be connected to UNIT.
Isn't there only one confirmed right now?
Yeah, it's just that the war between the land and the sea. The one that Martha Jones may or may not be coming back for.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Frobisher is just hanging there in UNIT.
I would love. You know what though? With Disney being involved in Doctor Who, how is Frobisher not
there? Right?
What a Disney character to put into this. It'd be great.
Hey, and marketable. Frobisher plushies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fuck Baby Yoda. Get us some Frobisher.
Don't fuck Baby
Yoda. Whatever. I don't care.
Year-old child. We only have 2 more pieces of news to discuss.
Good.
And good God, thank goodness you're back, Chris, because they're both Big Finish. One's the big thing, but the other is 50 years of the 4th Doctor. They're celebrating.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yes.
The Curse of Time. I don't really have much to say about this because all I saw was just this post. I didn't read it. But
Yeah, no, I do.
Yes, it was like celebrating 50 years. I don't know who's writing it, but a lot of their celebration stuff, aside from the 60th anniversary, has been really good. 40 and 42 for the Fifth Doctor, really good. I'd say 40 is mixed, 42 is excellent. Quinn Dilemma for the Sixth Doctor, amazing. Don't really think there has been one. Technically, Last Day is for the Seventh Doctor, but that's more of an era, not an actual like anniversary. The first part was not good. I've yet to listen to the second part, so who knows? But I don't know. Track record wise, these celebrations for the Doctors are really good. So here's hoping.
The cool thing about this one is I saw somebody mentioning they have had Tom Baker recording things after Once and Future. That's the key thing.
Okay.
We like Once and Future was filmed within like the span of 2 years when they said it was like 5, but it was actually just 2. But that's a whole other story. But as he's still recording, there's more for him to do. That's nice. And now it's time for the big news of the...
Hang on. It said there it's set between Revenge of the Cybermen and picks up tidbits or plot arcs from the arc in space. That could be interesting. Because I know a lot of people like Ark in Space. A lot of people don't like Revenge of the Cybermen.
I guess you could call me a lot of people.
I've yet to completely finish watching through that series, but I know that series, it's like everything's really good. Revenge of the Cybermen.
Well, that was like a whole thing of like, what was it? They had the leftover costumes. They just reused the Ark in Space fucking set. It was basically like, what crap do you have laying around?
The Cybermen, that's when they introduced the weirdly emotional Cybermen.
Well, that, and isn't that the first one where we get like a cyber leader that has like the black bars?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like the reused invasion costumes.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
I do like one of the more recent 8th Doctor Big Finish box sets had those Cybermen in it, and they actually explained why those Cybermen act differently.
Yeah.
It's just like over the years, having fought for so long, their emotional inhibitors have like started to like wear out. So even the Doctor's just like, you're pretty emotional for a Cyberman.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, but the only good emotional Cyberman we is excellent.
Yes.
That's the only. Yes.
Explode the bomb.
He does nothing but interfere.
We meet again, Doctor.
Hey, that's next month. That 6th Doctor box set with David Banks as the cyber leader again.
Excellent.
That'll be my review of it. Excellent.
So the big news of the evening, though, big news, is that Jodie Whittaker is back to play 13 for Big Finish.
What a surprise!
Back with Yaz. So.
Yes. So, yeah, Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill are back as the 13th Doctor and Yaz for a total of 12-hour-long releases. Starting from, what was it, next year? Yeah, 2025.
2025 is going to be a great year for people who love the Jodie Whittaker era.
Oh, I saw, like, when this was announced, I just kept seeing tweets from everyone saying, the site has crashed, I can't buy it.
Well, no, I'm talking about that, the Fugitive Doctor and Tommy Master, all three of those are releasing next year, so.
That's true. But yeah, like, people saying that the site crashed from, like, so many people just pre-ordering this set. So, say what you will about her era, but she does have her fans. People do want this. And I'm interested because, if this is like a Sixth Doctor where they can kind of redeem her in the general, not really the general public, the huge consensus, like it could work. Because we say this all the time, Jodie is not a bad actor.
Nope.
It's just a lot of the stories she was given weren't that good. She does have some good, like decent to good stories in her era.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's a whole lot that isn't.
She had a lot of potential. Yeah.
She has a lot of potential, yes. And you can see it sometimes. It's just it's not always there, unfortunately. But no, this could be interesting. The main thing a lot of people were wondering, is this going to be used as a way to develop the Doctor and Yaz relationship? And I think they said in an interview, no, not really. It can't be done because that isn't really a thing till Legend of the Sea Devils. So they can't really. You could probably do like in it, but that you can't really develop it as much because it's not really a thing until Jodie's penultimate episode.
Yeah.
So
but I always thought a more interesting tack would have gone if she had fallen in love with a male companion or had that kind of relationship. I thought that'd have been a lot more interesting than,
I just don't like. I'm kind of sick of Doctor companion relationships, so
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never been a big fan of the Doctor. The only person that I've ever supported being with the Doctor is River Song because her timeline is all messed up. It makes sense for a being that travels time and space through eternity. I walk in eternity. To have somebody that's also hopping in throughout eternity.
Yeah. But this is quick.
But anyway, I just didn't. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say this is quick of like a Doctor leaving and then coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took like Tom Baker forever just to come back to Big Finish.
But that's because she's got a lot left unfinished. I think that's the difference. I think the rest of them, they did their time and did what they needed to do. I think, to your point earlier, Chris, this could be something where this kind of cements the legacy for 13. Like,
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It could possibly just be she just really enjoyed the role and she just wanted to come back, even if it's just in audio form. Because it's funny, because when she was here in Australia for a convention, someone did ask her, "Would you like to do Big Finish?" So I don't know when this whole deal went through, but I remember her saying like, "Yeah, just tell them to contact me." Get Jason or like Nick Briggs to contact me. So maybe she just really enjoys the role and wanted to come back.
Yeah. No. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. Do we think they're going to try to go mostly original, or do you think she's going to be facing facing proper Daleks? Well, I guess she.
I don't know.
Even with the machine guns, they weren't the stupid reconnaissance Daleks.
I know. We'll have to wait and see. But I was very surprised by this. I am intrigued. So I'll check out the first one. We'll see how we go. I will say I'm a bit iffy, depending on how the story works. I'm a bit iffy on them being just separate hour-long releases.
Yeah, that's
because I know they're trying to get away from box sets, which has been both a good and a bad thing. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, these don't need to be box sets, but then other times when they do single releases, they separate them. So like the current Dark Gallifrey series, everything is each series of it is split into 3, and I feel like if you're going to do that, you can have the separate series, just have them all in just their own box sets if they're one story of those 3 parts. It would have helped because I listened to the War Master one. Guess what? If you didn't see it in the cast and crew list already, he's not in it.
Mm.
And it's part 1 of his Dark Gallifrey series. And I could not tell you a single thing that happened in it. Because I think I listened to it, and then I think I unfortunately listened to it when I was tired, so I could not remember anything that happened in that release.
I'm going to try to listen to it after I finish the Second Doctor Adventures.
Yes, that came out recently. We're going to have to do a review on that
next week.
I got so much I have to catch up on.
I know.
I've tried listening to stuff while I was on my holiday. I listened to some.
That's pretty much that for that. And that is part of the reason why we are reviewing The Woman Who Fell to Earth today. The first ever episode with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, starring as the Doctor. Joe of the Corallos, do you want to start us off today?
Yeah, sure. So I can't tell you the last time I watched it. It might have been around, when it came out. This was interesting. I'm glad I did this because, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, it's not a bad start. I thought it was it's a perfectly cromulent episode of Doctor Who. It's the tone, like it drags a little bit in the beginning. I'm kind of it's like, what the fuck with this family and this kid trying to ride a fucking bike, but like it goes on like a little too long. I wish it was like or there was a little more in the beginning setting it up, and then we did that, but no, I mean, it was pretty good. The characters, and like once things really got going and the threat was established, I think the episode really sort of solidifies. It's the kind, like, I like when Doctor Who, since like in revival era, some of the really cool things they've done have been these sort of like tonal whiplash episodes, because it's not threatening at all. It's a little goofy, a little cheesy early on, but then the threat comes, and that was a genuinely mysterious, threatening villain.
Yeah.
And it really disrupts the tone in a way that works. So I really appreciate that. I thought Jodie sort of dove right in a way that I feels a little more akin, like if you're comparing her just like in terms of how she approached the Doctor and what she was doing with the character there, was a little more subdued, like a Matt Smith compared to the others. I feel like everyone else was more bombastic right out the gate. Obviously, like Eccleston, it was pretty bombastic, but like Tennant and Capaldi for sure, very bombastic. But Shooty got, again, very bombastic. Hey, I'm screaming, I'm yelling, everyone knows where I'm at. But like her and Matt Smith, and since for me, series 5, that first season of Matt Smith might be my favorite season of the revival era. There's so much promise there. Yeah. It's a shame what happens not long after this, but this episode, very promising. The threat, the villain, the stakes, not everyone making it out alive, like all this stuff, but not making it out alive in a way where, like, we're all Doctor Who fans here. I mean, most of the episodes, there's a decent body count, and it's the weight of the character deaths isn't necessarily that high, but like this episode really establishes, when she bites it at the end there, doing what she did, there's an emotional weight to it, which is a lot for a debut episode. Like very few of these Doctor debut episodes, I think, have those kind of moments in them. It's a reverse twin dilemma. It's so
villain. Murderer.
You are evil. Evil.
1,000 hells.
So yeah, like I think this was it is a solid debut. One might say, maybe even an above average debut for a Doctor.
I dare to say that.
Jervain?
No, I agree with a lot of Joe is saying. I think which makes this such a successful debut, and I think what ends up making things so disappointing later on is that it really is an episode that, if you look at it, there's so much of what makes Doctor Who sprinkled throughout this episode. Yeah. It's the whole thing of like, what did she say? A bit of adrenaline, a dash of something else, and a hint of panic. Like kind of talking about really kind of like how the Doctor operates when the main villain there's an attempted murder of the main villain, and she's like, you had no right to do that. That's a hit of the Doctor we've always seen. The danger of being associated with the Doctor with the death of Grace, like she was the one who was the most into it. She was the most curious. She would have really liked to. She would have enjoyed the idea of being a companion like Donna. But it's like, but when you get that close to someone this fiery, this mercurial, it can be very dangerous. And those stakes are reflected, and the impact that it has on those around those surrounding the Doctor. So it's like if you join the Doctor on their adventures, there's a cost to that. I agree with Joe with the fact that the beginning went maybe a little bit too long in terms of introducing Max, because you had to bring Yaz in. But I've always liked this group of companions. I'm a sucker for like the family dynamic of companions. That was what I was most disappointed with 12, was that when they got rid of, well, I can't say they got rid of Danny Pink when he got killed off, was because I like the fact that with 11 he was sort of like a member of the family, like a husband and a son, but now he was being put in the role of almost a disapproving father-in-law when Danny came along dealing with Clara, which is why I could never get into the idea of Clara and 12 being in love. To me, it was more a father-daughter thing than a May-September relationship. But with this one here, I just think that I would almost say in terms of a debuting Doctor, because I agree with Eccleston. I think they were getting their feet wet with Tennant, because my daughters always liked him, because my daughters they would sing the Doctor Who song, the theme song, they would give it lyrics like, he's so funny. That's what it was, just his emotion. Matt, to me, in his debut, it was a little disconcerting for me in the very beginning. When it solidified towards the end, I fell in love with him at that point. Like, I think that's the only guy in his debut I was like, that's my Doctor, even though I had really enjoyed 10. But I think almost immediately they let you know what kind of Doctor he was going to be. 12 was a bit much. And it wasn't until the Dalek where I could really go, okay, now I can get used to Capaldi. But this one here, in terms of like, especially if I remember right, it was considered, I think it's like one of the highest debut ratings wise for a Doctor, because I know my whole family sat around and watched it. If you really hadn't been exposed to Doctor Who at all, with this episode here, you pretty much understood who the Doctor was, and it was a nice, easy introduction. So in comics, as Joel knows, if you were going to say you treat every episode as someone's first episode, this would be a pretty good example of how you do that. So I think Woman Who Fell to Earth, it was a great introduction for Jodie, and it just unfortunately the rest of her era just never saw, with the exception of maybe it's my favorite one of her era, Eve of the Daleks, which I think also is another one where if you never watched Doctor Who before, you could slide very easily into that and have fun with it. And I also like about this episode was the fact that you had basically a predator who cheats. So I like that. I always thought when I watched it, now this is my third time watching it, I never caught on to the fact that, wait a minute, this is just Predator. But Predator 2, but this is a predator who cheats. So I thought that was a nice funny twist on that. But I think it's a great episode. Yeah, especially a great debut.
Chris, I know you just got home. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it now.
No, I can tell you how I felt when I first watched it, because that was the last time I watched it.
Oh,
I actually didn't think it was that bad. I think I liked it. It was okay. It's not my favorite debut. I'd say Matt had probably the best debut for a new Doctor. Now, as much as I love Tennant, I think 11th Hour is a really good debut for his Doctor. But no, I did like it. It's not perfect. I did like the villain until aside from the whole stupid Tim Shaw. Did you say your name's Tim Shaw? It's like it's not funny. Other than that, yeah, it was okay. I liked it. I don't know how I'd feel if I did a recent rewatch, but from what I can remember, I liked it. I didn't think it was that bad.
So if people have been around this channel for a while, I did release a video like a year ago, maybe. I'm trying to find it, see if it, because I recorded it specifically because Jimmy was going to have to hold up his deal, but he didn't. It only got 37 views, so it wasn't much. But I went ahead and revisited this episode. This is a fantastic episode. I really think it is one of the better introductions. It's not better than 11's, but it's still up there. I loved so much about this episode. When the episode starts and you have that YouTube clip, and it's like, I'm going to tell you about the greatest woman I ever met. And you think it's going to be talking about the Doctor. And that bothered me so much when I started the episode. I was like, oh, God. But then you go to the end and you find out it's about his grandmother. And it's not a great YouTube video, but how many YouTube videos are great, really?
19 views.
19. Give him his one more. But no, him doing his vlog and stuff. I agree. I can't stand I can't ride a bike bit. I just, they forget about it conveniently when they.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a flaw for Ryan, but then it doesn't come up again. It's like somewhat resolved in this episode. Then that's it.
Yeah.
And I think when I first watched it, I was not looking forward to the era. When it first came out, I was not looking forward to the era.
Why not?
Because I didn't like Chibnall's work before.
Okay.
I didn't think he was a good choice for a showrunner. But I went ahead. I watched all of 13. I have. So I went ahead through it. But this episode is fantastic. I wish the end of the episode didn't happen, because I think if she was stuck to Earth a little longer, the series overall would have benefited from it. Because it is a good angle. The Doctor stuck. One of my favorite classic Doctors. That's his whole thing. And it worked for him. I liked her making her own Sonic. Her going ahead and building that contraption at the end is very cool. If we had more of that, it's just, it feels unique. I know Tin had his gadgets and everything, but to see her actually working on it, going ahead and rolling her sleeves up and getting to it, that was great.
That's an interesting take. The idea of a doctor without resources, which was different than 3, where he had the resources of the unit. But the idea of a doctor kind of just making it through really on her wits. That's a good,
And the thing is, even though that Sonic is ugly as hell, it's so cool to see her go ahead and make it right there. And it working, and Sparks like, oh, it should be fine. Sheffield Steel. It's fun. It's good. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and defend Tim Shaw in this one episode. Because at the season finale is when they keep saying it. They say Tim Shaw like maybe 3 times. Maybe. Mostly because why would you pronounce it however it actually is pronounced? Zimzaw or whatever. Silly name for kind of a silly species. Teeth predator. But no. He has the villain had a very cool look going throughout it. I really love this episode. I think I gave it, just go ahead and start going in rankings. I think when I first revisited it, I gave it a 9. I think I'll keep it there. It's just astounding just how good this episode is, and astounding what happens after. But this episode, fantastic. Joe.
Yeah, no, 9 is what I was going to give this to, especially because of how strong it was for a debut. And that I don't know if any other Jodie episode gets a 9, and she deserves at least 1 9. I mean, come on.
That's
so you know, maybe there's 1 or 2 others. I don't make me go rewatch it all right now.
But, are you sure? You know, we can just keep going. All through season 11.
I mean, if you want to do that to Chris, that's fine.
I should punish him for disappearing for.
Yeah.
He's back.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, no, I think, you know, for this, Jodie deserves at least 1 9 episode, and if it's going to be any episode of hers, it's this. So I'll give it a 9.
Javane.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a 9. Yeah, like I'm with Chris that I don't. 11's debut was better because I really think because of you're never gonna beat that thing of is this world protected, and just the montage of villains and then the montage of the doctors and him walking through and just like basically run, because I think the biggest difference between 11's debut and 13's debut is 11's debut paid off over the season.
Yeah,
it paid off. In other words, what you saw in that doctor there, and not only paid off there, it also paid off much later on in his character arc. So there was something connected to it. The tragedy of 13's debut is very good setup for beginners. I think more so than 11's debut. Hits all the right tone, all the hallmarks of the series and the character in a different way. But it's just with a rewatch, knowing what's to come, it's just like, my God, how did you blow this one? So I only give it an 8 because I think there must have been something behind the scenes where somebody was whispering or talking in Chip Mill's ear that it was this good of a debut episode, and everything else after that just basically fell to crap. There's something that was in the secret sauce that was going on in this episode that either didn't remain or got lost from this point forward. But I definitely would give it. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9 because if I was going to take it a standalone by itself, I it's a pretty damn good debut episode. And it's definitely the best. It's definitely the best of our era. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you can give a number if you'd like.
At the moment, probably 7.5. It could change depending if I do a rewatch. So yeah, that's 7.5.
Okay. Well, you have the numbers. That's our show. We ask you to like and comment and subscribe. Go ahead and leave a comment and welcome Chris back. We're glad to have you back, Chris.
Yes.
I've only
been good to be back
half the time. Okay, a little more than half. But that's our show tonight. Thank you. We'll see you again. ALLONS-Y!